Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Extraordinary Expletive. You got your boy J Dubs on the mic over here.
Kenny G's on this side of the table, and we are just going to pick up where we left off because it is Metal Month.
Power to the masses, baby.
The month where we talk about all things metal. So, we left off last week, we were talking about Black Sabbath and just the origins of metal, because I think Black Sabbath would be the one that probably the most influential
Yeah, really,
in the
really
genre.
put it on the map.
Yeah, really put the genre out there. Deep Purple, too, Motorhead, those kind of bands. But then we got into the 80s, and that's where metal took the fuck off.
Yeah.
Because a band named Metallica dropped an album called Kill 'Em All, and it was the start of thrash, and it was the start of the Big Four.
And they set the world on fire. We didn't really discuss like the whole hair metal scene, but I feel like that definitely came after.
We said it last week. Just watch the dirt.
Yeah. But I mean, we could touch on that too. But yeah, going from Metallica, once they dropped that album, they really changed the game, in my opinion. They brought about a world of guitar playing that most people had not really heard that style before. And as you said many times, either in conversation and even on the podcast, they were too heavy for the punk kids, and they were too punk for the heavy kids.
And but Kill 'Em All is like their most punk album, though.
Yeah, and you can really hear the influences of punk in that. And,
that dropped in '83, and that same year, Slayer dropped their debut album, Show No Mercy.
Oh yeah, I didn't know they were the same year.
They were both in '83, and then I don't remember when Hell Awaits came out by Slayer, but Slayer got on the map with Rain and Blood. That was their...
Yeah, and that song still today is amazing. I mean, most people know them by that. You know, Raining Blood, the song. Everybody knows that.
Right.
Whether you listen to Slayer, like, you know, heavy or not, I'm sure you may or may have not have heard it on the radio. You know, it's gotten a lot of play through the years.
They were kind of one of the first bands, though, that, like, they got big, even though they didn't get a lot of radio airtime.
Yeah, and like we discussed before, you know, that's one of the cool things about, like, metal bands is if you were into metal, you knew where to go and find it. And Slayer took the fuck off without all that radio play, you know. But going back here to Metallica, I just want to go ahead and shout these guys out. This is a couple beers we bought for the podcast just because we were going to be talking about Thrash and the Big Four today. And I was at the store and I found a Metallica beer. This is Enter Night. It's a Pilsner. And I'm not even certain who made it.
Stone.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, because the Arrogant. Yeah, Stone Brewer, Enter Night. So if you guys are beer fans, you guys should check this out. But solid black here, just like the Black Album, you know. But yeah, we just wanted to get a little festive and show some love. So yeah, if you guys can't see that very well, there it is. Maybe we'll get a zoom in on that and see what happens. But yeah,
Jamie, zoom in on that shit.
Oh, yo, thanks, James. I appreciate you, man. But yeah, going back to Metallica, like we just said, '83 when they dropped Kill 'Em All, it was fast, it was loud, and it was heavy.
It's something metal had never done before because metal was never fast at that point. Listen to Old Sabbath. Motorhead was fast. I will say that.
Motorhead was quick for sure.
But
I mean, it was just the way Lemmy sang and the way the fucking bass just rattled, you know? Like, almost all their albums had, like, one tempo, kind of. But, yeah, Metallica really put it on the map with, like, the fast guitar playing. Everything was fast.
And it was the thing with a lot of these bands from, like, the Big Four. Like, yeah, they came out and, like, yeah, they were big, but they didn't... Their masterpieces weren't their first album. And in a lot of cases, it wasn't even their second album. It was their third album. Because Metallica, Master Puppets was their third album. And that's widely considered one of the greatest metal albums of all time. Same with Megadeth. They had Killing Is My Business, ... and Business Is Good. Peace Sells, ... but who's buying? And then they had Rust in Peace was their third album. Slayer, I already said they had Show No Mercy, Hell Awaits, and then it was Rain and Blood, and then Anthrax to me, and Anthrax is like the one that I don't know a lot about. I've never really listened to a lot of Anthrax. What I have heard from Anthrax, I like. They do have that they're more traditional to the thrash style.
Yeah.
They did that more, but Persistence of Time from 1990, which is the same year that Peace Sells came out, or not Peace Sells, but Rust in Peace came out. Like those are both super good albums. But everyone thinks of the 80s as like this time where it was like, yeah, those metal bands were on top, and they weren't really on top until the early 90s or the late 80s.
Yeah, and there's so many bands that had came out like, after that, after their first initial drop, that kind of influenced a lot of other bands. One thing we didn't mention, if anybody does not know what the Big Four is, they say the Big Four thrash metal bands, the Big Four metal bands in history were Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, and they were the forerunners of the start of the metal genre and that metal push. So talking about these guys is a lot about the history kind of right after the whole scene that happened with Black Sabbath and, a little bit of that Deep Purple stuff. You really seen metal solidify itself. Like Deep Purple, they had some heavy songs, but they were more still riding that 60s wave, in my opinion. You know what I mean? They had a lot of like psychedelic influence in their music style playing, but Metallica, they didn't at all. They took it to a different level, and they blew it out of the water. They sung like super quick, and Hetfield's just voice, you know what I mean? Especially back then. Nowadays it's way different, but going off like a couple albums like Trapped Under Ice, and the vocals that he like enunciated, it was different. It was a whole new style of singing. It was
even
sweet.
Ride the Lightning had Trapped Under Ice, but then you also have Fight Fire with Fire was another one, and it was just no one else was really doing that at the time.
Yeah. And then Megadeth came out about because of Metallica,
Because they kicked Dave Mustaine out, and Dave
Yeah.
Mustaine only sung for Megadeth because like I can't find a lead singer I like. Fuck it, I'll do it live.
Yeah. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah.
But that's I don't know, that's a sick driving force. We talked about that last week when he finally got his Grammy and they played Metallica music as he walked to the stage, but like he didn't give a fuck, like he still did it.
Yeah.
Megadeth was sweet, they were like, I don't know, the yin and yang of Metallica and Megadeth. They as different as they were super similar, but yeah, I feel like they held that heavy punk influence, at least Metallica, from the beginning.
Metallica
You can really
did
tell.
definitely on Kill 'Em All. They lost by 1990. They lost it when they were like, we have the Black Album now.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear Unforgiven Part 1? We
Yeah.
have a Part 2 coming out.
Nobody knew about it until 2000 something. But it was cool to see, man. Like there's still so many songs, whether you listen to Kill 'Em All or, And Justice for All, any of those albums that came out before, everybody knows Enter Sandman. And that was it, in my opinion, their main radio play. They kind of got, I don't even want to say poppy. I want to say like mainstream. They realized kind of where the listeners were and built their genre around that,
Right.
And everybody still, to this day, dude, play some old shit, Nobody likes Saint Anger, and it's sad. I enjoyed a couple songs off there, but it just wasn't
It's
the
really
same.
weird because when Saint Anger came out, everyone was like, this is a great album.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, they're like, what the fuck does he mean his lifestyle determines his death style?
Yeah.
What is he talking about?
Why are they playing at a fucking prison?
Why is he playing on a goddamn trash can lid? How about that?
Yeah.
The snare's wound as tight as you can fucking get.
Oh, boy.
But
There's a meme about that. It's like life is good, and then it's like a picture of a guy like dying, and it said when you finally hear the snare on Saint Anger.
they kind of have gone back with their last two albums.
Yeah.
With Death Magnetic, and that was the last one that came out. I don't remember. It just came out like 2 years ago.
I forget the name of it, but I started to listen to the first 3 songs, and
They kind of got back to their roots, but I think the thing with Metallica though was you saw that Cliff Burton died in the bus accident.
yeah,
and
that was after their second album.
That was after Master of Puppets.
Oh, okay, so 3 albums had already
They
dropped.
did 3 albums, and Cliff Burton was just a phenomenal bass player.
Yeah,
And then they got Jason Newsted, and he was a phenomenal bass player. But whenever they did and Justice for All, that was Jason Newsted's first album. Lars Ulrich was like, hey, turn the bass down. That's why the bass is so quiet on that, because Lars Ulrich didn't like him because he wasn't Cliff Burton.
Yeah.
Because Lars Ulrich is kind of a dick.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but at the same time, if you have that sort of feel, you're always going to hold some sort of resentment. You know,
Right.
They're never going to be Cliff, no matter how hard they try. Especially forming together as a band and becoming like a little family.
I mean,
know?
James Hetfield and Cliff Burton were like best friends.
Yeah, and that's fucked. Like they all cut their hair when he died. That was like their tribute thing. You know,
Yeah.
they had the fucking long flowy down to your ass hair like every metal band should. And Cliff died, and they're like, dude, let's, I don't know, do something different, I guess.
But and then he left. He left before Saint Anger, because they did the standalone song. It's the only Metallica standalone song that's never been on a Metallica album. I Disappear.
Okay.
That's the only standalone Metallica song.
I didn't know
It was
that.
made from the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack.
Oh, nice.
That was the only reason they made that song. And then Robert Trujillo from Suicidal Tendencies became their bass player. But I think that's what makes Metallica so good for so long. Whereas a lot of these other bands, like Megadeth, has kind of, been beaten around, and Anthrax is. Metallica's had 3 out of the same 4 people for their entire career.
Yeah, they've held it together and down.
Dave
solid.
Mustaine's the only original member of Megadeth, and
Yeah.
Scott Ian is, Anthrax is. They've had different members coming out. Like right now, they're probably as close as they've ever been to their original lineup since their original lineup. But they've been. I shouldn't even say the original lineup, but they're one of their older lineups. But a lot of times, these bands just fall in and out with members. Even Slayer. David Lombardo's been in and out of the band. It's basically just Kerry King and the fuck is his last name? Lead singer.
I forget.
Tom.
Jamie, look that up.
Yeah, Jamie. It's Tom. It begins with an A.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to sound like an idiot and say something.
It's been
that's
a long
not.
day.
But that they're a solid piece. Whether we're talking
Right,
about
well,
Slayer, whether we're talking about Metallica, they held it down. They know the style that they want to write in. They know the style they want to play in.
Metallica's that kind of band that they're like, hey, we're gonna go on tour like once every 10 years, and we're gonna like sell like a 20,000 seat arena, 30,000 seat arena, where it's like, hey, we're gonna have a metal festival. We want to have Slayer headline. Yeah, it's gonna be in front of like 4,000 people. It'll be fun.
Yeah, Metallica's just
Megadeth doesn't come.
that pedestal rock star.
Mhm.
They're always up there. I mean, they even had like the Metallica movie.
Which one?
Well,
The one where Dave Mustaine cries?
no, the most recent one, not like the interview one. It was just their. It was a whole live concert that they played at a like a football stadium, 20,000 people arena, and they had like a little story with this kid trying to get to the show to deliver the band something. I don't know if you've seen it.
I actually have seen that.
It was,
what it's called. I wasn't gonna bring it up because I
was it
remember what it's called.
Gasoline or something like that? I forget the
I
name
don't
of
remember.
it. But this is a band, dude, that has dropped so many albums, countless.
No,
I mean, in 2000,
Metallica?
yeah,
Not really.
over 13. That's a lot.
Studio albums?
Yeah,
No, not studio.
bullshit.
Studio, they haven't
I
had
hate
that
that
many.
you say that. That's so dumb. They still release music. They still had albums. There's over 13 of
I'm
them.
talking like original. I'm not talking about compilation albums.
I'm not talking about compilation albums either. You got like Load, Reload, the Black Album, Kill 'Em All, and Justice for All. You got Saint Anger, Death Magnetic, the one that just came out. What else am I missing here? Because I remember having like 13 of them that my stepdad had just up in his little CD collection.
I mean, Load, Reload are both like compilation albums. It's like, hey, we're like,
What do they compilate on?
well, it's just like outcuts from like the studio. They go to studio session.
Hero of the Day was a really big song.
Hero of the Day.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was on- that was
like
on
Garage Inc. was just a cover album. That's all it
Yeah,
was.
but it was still music.
Yeah, but I'm not counting that.
I would.
I
I
wouldn't.
wouldn't count it as original stuff, but it's still.
Well,
still awesome.
I'm talking like original studio album. That's what
All
I
right,
mean.
so cut out Garage Inc. Look it up. Look it up. See how many are there. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of music. Whether, I mean, you want to agree with me or not, they still put out a shit ton of music over the years. And evolved as a band into like many different like sounds, you know. It was started out with this thrash kind of punky stuff, and then they got a little softer and still had that heavy vibe in the background, and then kind of experimented and went on. Like Reload, I can agree with you, is kind of different because it was just like almost the same as Load, but not. But there's still a bunch there.
Okay, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, the Black Album, Load, Reload, Sane Anger, Death Magnetic, Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
Okay, 10. That's still a lot.
I still wouldn't count Garage Inc. though.
Yeah, I mean you didn't say it in the list.
Oh, I
there.
did not say that. You're right.
I just feel I don't know. As a person who likes to play guitar, that's a lot of influence that you can take, and you know that's spanning from what 83 till now, because Hardwired to Self-Destruct came
out in 2017.
They're a band that's been around for almost 40 years, and they're still fucking swinging hard, you know?
Yeah.
I think, you know, they listened to a lot of what their fans had said, and especially with the newer album, the first song's like 7 minutes long. I was like, damn. And
a long song doesn't make a good song, though.
I agree with you, but they went back into these sick-ass fucking guitar playing solos, you know?
Right.
There was like three solos in the main track of that album. Like, I was like, dude, yeah, you know? And that's what always inspired me as a kid. Listening to Metallica, it wasn't just this normal, like, 4/4 pattern, like, okay, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, bridge. It was like, it all kind of meshed together, then you got your chorus, and then they just fucking shredded the shit out of guitar, you know what I mean? And as a young person trying to learn to play guitar, I was always, you know, astounded, whether it be Hetfield or not, you know, like just guitar skill like that. I don't know. It's kind of phased out in certain aspects, I guess I could say, because there's a lot I want to talk on the next episode here about skill. But it was badass. Like, you don't hear those kind of solos on the Black Album or Reload or anything like that. You know, those were. They came out there like, hey guys, we can fucking play guitar. Check this out. Like, you're just like in the crowd, like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, oh, it was an amazing feeling as a child, at least. That's what really got me into metal. I was like, dude, that sounds fucking awesome. But I don't know. I don't know if that's your opinion or not.
I mean, Metallica definitely was like the gateway drug, but '83 was also the same year that Pantera came out with their first album, which a lot of people think that like 1990 Pantera came out with Cowboys from Hell, and that was like their first album. No, their first album came out in '83, and they released 4 more, and that was when they were Pantera's Metal Magic, and they were a hair metal band.
Okay, yeah, we talked about this.
Phil Anselmo was not in the band yet, so like everything you have where you're like, yeah, Pantera's like hardcore, like, you know, in your face metal. Not for their first 7 years of existence, they weren't.
And that's hard to fucking think about because Dimebag was so young.
Yeah, no, Dimebag was like 17 when they started.
That's what I was going to say. He had to be like 16, 17 when they started, because I've watched videos of them playing live, and he was like 19, 20 years old. And I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah,
guy's
no,
killing it.
He was like 17 when Pantera started. Him and Vinnie Paul, different lead singer at the time. I don't know the guy's name.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Vinnie Paul and Dimebag.
Both of them.
Yeah, it's a sad story there. How do you feel about Pantera not being in the Big Four?
They came a little bit too late
to be that main influence.
Well, here's the thing.
I've always listened to Pantera over Anthrax, though. You know,
it's one of the things where it's like you're talking about the bands that like had their biggest success in the mid to late '80s. So you're talking like right before Megadeth made their best album, right before again, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest aren't in the Big Four because they're British. That's why.
Yeah, and they're almost like a different style of music too.
Right,
not exactly that thrashy.
Iron Maiden's a huge hitter, though.
Yeah,
Iron Maiden's one of those bands like Metallica. If you're like, yeah, Iron Maiden's playing tonight, like it's just like Metallica. It's like, oh yeah, they're like in a 25,000 seat arena because
the only time I got to see them, but it was at Ozfest. You know what I mean? They headlined. They came out right before Sabbath, and every motherfucker in that arena was there. Everybody went. It's like, holy fuck! You don't go sit out and go take a piss while Iron Maiden's playing.
Yeah, I mean, Pantera does have they have more appeal than Anthrax, and they're more popular than Anthrax.
They had that more.
They were in an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, for God's sakes.
Yeah, they had that more bad boy fucking that attitude. I guess
They had that.
Yeah, that. I mean, their album name said it perfectly. Vulgar display of power, like
Cowboys from Hell.
Yeah.
But even then, like, vulgar display of power, it's literally like a man getting punched in the face.
Yeah, that's all it is, just the cover of it.
And that's what, like, whenever you describe Pantera, how does Pantera sound? All right, let me show you this picture of their album. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That gives that visual. Anthrax was more thrashy.
They were super punk.
But again, 91 was that year you had Anthrax with the Persistence of Time.
Yeah. What was
Megadeth with Rust in Peace and
forget
Cowboys
the song
from
we
Hell.
just listened to, but that was so much more refined, and it had that metal sound to it. Like if you listen to Anthrax's first album, you had a lot of that kind of drum beats, and you could see the punk roots there. They really, really drew out of that, and I don't know. They weren't what I expected, I guess. Like, I'm going to be honest, I never really listened to Anthrax. I know a couple of them.
Anthrax and one of the bands, too, they were, like, huge in the early 90s, and then people kind of forgot about them.
Yeah, they had a really big following.
They were in an episode of Married with Children.
Really?
Yeah. It was Kelly and Kelly had, like, she had Anthrax. What was the name of the son? Bud. Kelly and Bud had, like, people over, and it was Anthrax like came over and they were just like fucking chilling in the house, and they were playing in My World, like the song they were playing, and
That's
they were
weird.
just like fucking chilling on the couch and like headbanging. It looked like the music video for Meshuggah's new Millennium Cyanide Christ, where they're just kind of like faking like they're playing the instruments, just headbanging on the in the tour bus and stuff.
Yeah.
And even toward the end of the 80s, you had kind of like the Swedish bands come out, like Meshuggah was one of them.
Cradle of Filth.
Cradle of Filth.
Well, they weren't Swedish. They were British.
Okay, the Norwegian bands.
Yeah, the Norwegian metal. You got people like the New Bourgeois.
Celtic Frost was another one.
Yeah.
But they kind of dabble with like the death, or not death metal, but like the satanic stuff, because even like their one album, it's a picture of a horned thing. I'm gonna assume he's the devil. We're not saying it's the devil, but he's pulling back on a slingshot, but it's Jesus Christ like in the crucifix, like his arms are literally like the strings, and it's just him like in the back. And he's like pulling it back, like shooting it at you. And that album was really fucking good.
What year was that?
I want to say it was like 87, 88.
Okay. Well, let's finish up with the big four before we move on.
Yeah, see, we're starting to get, because I didn't even touch Sepultura yet.
No,
so.
and they're not even in the big four.
No, they're Brazilian. If the British guys can't in, what the fuck makes you think like a South American band's gonna get in?
Yeah, but Sepultura they were that bridge between death metal and thrash.
Yeah,
they were roots metal, dude. But hold on, all right. Go back to Slayer, because that's what we haven't touched on. We haven't touched on Slayer or Megadeth yet, and they are still in the big four. We haven't really talked about Slayer. We mentioned them last episode and now, but hell, we just gave Metallica a good 15 minutes of our life.
Well, with Slayer though, like if you listen to Hell Awaits, which is their second album, and Show No Mercy, it's more like that fast, like punk, like like real quick beats and stuff. And then Rain and Blood, they really changed it. They were still playing fast as shit. Actually, they were probably playing faster, but it was more like, it wasn't as punk influenced. It was more like Kerry Kane is going to play the sloppiest fucking solo you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fast, and it's going to be in your face. And then really, by the 90s, with like 94, and they're like, okay, Seasons in the Abyss, they were like, we're going to slow down, but we're going to be just as like menacing with our sound.
They were always heavy. In my opinion, when you picture Slayer, that's the ideal picture of like satanic metal. You know what I mean? I mean, look at like your shirt, for God's sakes. There's fucking dead people on it and goats and shit. Like they were. I don't know if that became.
They weren't like a satanic band so
Not
much
at
as
all,
they just
no.
had themes of.
Yeah, And I feel like a lot of people rode off of that though. They were like, like, okay, you got Ozzy coming out, and then what did we talk about earlier?
Deicide.
Deicide, and you got bands like that who are really pushing the dark side of things, and they took some things off. They like the Slayer logo with the swords,
Yeah.
and it makes the pentagram.
I mean, Slayer wasn't so much a satanic band, but they had satanic themes. They
Yeah.
had themes of hell and
And I feel like being in the Big Four, people took that and rode with it, and that's
it was such so controversial at the time though. Like people were like, "Wow, this band, they're a bunch of devil worshippers." I'm like, probably not.
yeah. No, they're just talking about blood raining from the sky.
I think Tom Maya actually fucking goes to church like every Sunday.
Yeah.
And he's like the lead singer of Slayer. Now that I remembered his last name,
What
but
is
I
it?
couldn't remember Tom Maya.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't. I mean, they were a big influence of mine. They were some of the first stuff I learned to play on guitar, like Raining Blood.
I think that's what really drew me to Slayer though was the controversy, was the like, hey,
Yeah.
this is something like your parents aren't gonna like. I'm like, I want
Fuck
that.
yeah!
Like,
See that parental advisory sticker? Let me get that. They were sweet though. Their sound was amazing. Like I feel you on like some of the sloppy guitars, but like Mike had said last time or last week, Carrie said that he wanted them to sound like screams, and you listen to them, like even think about like the main solo for Raining Blood, like
or
it
even
just,
even when it goes into like Angel of Death,
yeah,
it's Tom Maya screaming, and then it goes in, or no, it's the guitar, and then it's like his scream and the guitar like bleed together.
yeah, and it makes an amazing sound. It's like that's another band that they really emphasized their skill on the guitars. They weren't just, I don't know, up there to play like hair metal would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jimmy Page. He was amazing. Fucking Eddie Van Halen. He was good, but I don't know. They were more about the babes and the bitches than they were about the music.
Yeah.
And that's my issue with that kind of crowd. They were good bands, don't get me wrong, but music-wise, were they really there for that as much as they were that rock star ride? It's hard to say. But Slayer is they also lost a member. James Heineman had died.
Yeah, he had the flesh-eating bacteria.
6 years ago.
It was some. Yeah, I was
6 or
still
7?
in college. I was still going to Kmart because I wasn't still going to Kmart. I worked at a Kmart. But,
Who goes to Kmart?
well, they actually have really good shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Because no one goes there, so like you're like, yeah, every place is sold out. Yeah, yeah, every store in Pennsylvania is sold out of the goddamn Crown Royal fucking salted caramel. Yeah, Kmart has 12 cases of it because no one ever goes to Kmart.
Just a bunch of Kmart employees in the back end drunk off.
The one lady there, she was a real big Slayer fan, and then like we talked about, because I remember whenever he died because we were talking about that day.
Yeah, that was a big hit, and much like Metallica, Heineman died way, way, way later than Cliff had, and
Hyman died. Well, yeah, I mean he died like almost fucking 30 years later.
yeah.
Nearly.
So, how do you think that impacted the band?
By that time,
It's-
it didn't because, like, again, they had just rotating member. It's basically
Yeah.
like Tom I and Kerry King, and that's like these other guys come in and out.
Well, I mean, Heineman had always been, a strong forerunner in that band,
Yeah,
but
yeah, but even whenever he got really sick, they continued on their tour.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would fuck me up. I'd be like emotionally unstable for a little while. Like, you haven't seen Slayer coming out with any new music, so like,
World Pain and Blood came out. The album World Pain and Blood
I don't know.
that came out like around the same time he died. It probably came out right before because I think they've had one since then, which to me was really good because like I talked about, like Slayer, they were really fast paced and everything, and then they kind of slowed down with Seasons in the Abyss, and then they had like God Hates Us All and Diablos and Musica and stuff like that, where some of their stuff was hit and miss, and then they had Christ Illusion, which it wasn't really that good. That came out in 2006. I bought that album because I was so excited for it. I was like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to get... That was like... You gotta think, it's 2006, and I ordered that album on eBay.
Yeah.
That's how excited I was for it. And then I got it, and like 14-year-old me like, this is good. And then like me now, I'm like, it's not that great.
Kind of grew out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then World Painted Blood, like it kind of like went back to like some of their older stuff. It was kind of a calling back to that, and like the song World Painted Blood, like it's pretty good. Like
I
Doll
haven't
Parts.
listened to it. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it kind of throws back to old Slayer. And when I say old Slayer, I mean like pre '93.
Okay. They were awesome. Like, I don't know, when I went to go, I'd seen them at Rock on the Range, and Tom's neck was like fucked. I think when he walked out on stage, man, you could basically, they ended their show, man, and he like walked out and like an old man, you know, hurting, and just told everybody thank you. The last song they played was Angel of Death, and I don't know if I had said this on the podcast before or not, but it's still an amazing thing. I think I did say it on the concerts episode, but they dropped a banner in the background right before they went to play it, and it was a Heineken bottle label, but it said James Heineman, Angel of Death, like on the top and the bottom, and like James Heineman went around where Heineken would be, obviously, but you know, I got fucking goosebumps thinking about it, dude. It was sick. I was like, damn, you know. So they still pay tribute, like, and let the world know, like, hey man, we lost a brother, and they'd ended playing, and then Tom had came back out and just basically thanked the crowd, and he said, hey, look, you know, we don't know how much longer we're going to be doing this shit. I forget the guy's name who's filling in for Heineman now, but he also plays in another metal band, and that day his band had played on side stage, and then he played fucking Slayer main stage afterwards, you know, and you know, it's a lot of dedication,
Right.
especially side projects like that and shit. But you got a band like Slayer, like, okay, they're writing some new music, but if you get a rotating member who does come in, what do? Just, oh, dude, I've listened to your music forever. You know what I mean? I'll play it all right now. Here you go.
If you're Avenged Sevenfold, you kick out Mike Portnoy. That's what you do. Dream Theater was another one in the 80s that kind of started that 80s. And
One more. We gotta
hit Megadeth.
hit Megadeth before we go on.
Well, no. I just want to give another shout out to is like another one of like the forerunners that were like really influential was King Diamond. I feel like he's one of the most underrated ones.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't talk about King Diamond. Because okay, Merciful Fate's an underrated one, but a lot of people have at least heard of Merciful Fate.
I've heard of King Diamond. I'm gonna be honest, I never really listened to him at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
maybe we'll have to check some songs out afterwards.
He's one too that like a lot of the metal band, a lot of the metal bands like Metallica, will be like, yeah, we really like a lot of King Diamond shit.
Huh. Yeah,
it's
that's
one of those
sweet.
things. Yeah, but King Diamond, he was one of the headliners on Mayhem Festival in 2015, but he's like 64 years old, and he's like still going out there like in all the makeup and like wearing the hat and hitting all the highs and shit. It's crazy.
Fuck.
I unfortunately did not get to see him that year. We had to leave early for reasons, but
For reasons.
my friend got too drunk and we had to leave.
feel it.
So
Was that gear?
yeah, it was good. But I really want, because I was like I want to see King Diamond to say.
Is he gonna be okay?
Yeah. I just want to say I could see King Diamond. Instead, I got stuck with fucking, what was the band with Vinnie Paul and Hell Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I got to watch Hell Yeah for like a little bit, and I'm like, I don't really care for Hell Yeah. Nothing personal against Hell Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Mudvayne. We'll talk about them later. And I like Pantera. We're going to talk about them later on the show. But just not really for me.
Yeah. But Megadeth. So, you know, this is a band that, I don't know, I'm kind of touchy on because I don't know a lot. I know, like, you know, Symphony of Destruction and shit like that, but, oh, excuse me, yeah, but between you and Mike, like, I've never listened to that many albums. Like, honest to God, I probably only listened to, like,
I went through this phase.
Songs.
I went through this phase in college, and this is whenever I got, like, super into, like, knowing everything about music and wanting to know more about music and hearing more albums, where I would play Gears of War 3, and I would listen to a different metal album every night. I looked up a list. I'm like, what are some great metal albums? Like, what are the greatest metal albums of all time? And then you'd see stuff that was like Alive or Just Breathing by Killswitch Engage. I'm like, I'm listening to that. And I'm like, that was fucking awesome. But then you always get to like the top like 4 or 5. and then it's like, well, let's say you get to like the top 10, and that's where like I found out, like I was trying to show you Baroness,
Yeah.
the band. That's where I found about them. That's where I found out about. That's where I really got into Machine Head, because people are like, the Blackening is one of the best metal albums ever. I'm like, it came out like six years ago.
That's a phrase you hear often, though.
Yeah, but I was
The
like,
best metal of all time.
it's one of those things where it's like, this is one of the best metal albums ever. I'm like, you know what, that came out 6 years ago, and listen to it, I'm like, that's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And then, but then I got to the point where it was like, okay, like it was a lot of lists. It was like, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3, it was always like Rust in Peace and Master of Puppets. Or like somewhere in that 1, 2, 3. And then albums came in and out. And then I actually listened to Rust in Peace, and it's fucking phenomenal. I think there was like fucking 15 guitar solos in Hangar 18 or something.
Fuck.
Because it's just back and forth solos.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a solo. Okay, now you do a solo. No, I'm going to do a solo. Now you do a solo.
So like almost like dueling guitarists, kind of.
Yes, but they're doing like dueling solos. Dave Mustaine and, God, what was the name of the other guitarist? Mikael Ross was going to listen to this and fucking hate me.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. And even prior to that, prior to me listening to Rust in Peace, I used to work out at the high school all the time.
Used to work out.
I used to work out. I'm fat now. But I would work out for football and in the weight room. Well, there was a CD player in there, and we were senior. It was my senior year, so I'm like, okay, all these CDs, it's nobody else's. It's whoever. It was like Corey Kettler's and shit. Like, they just had left, like, burned CDs in there. And I saw somebody left Megadeth's Countdown to Extinction, and I was like, Megadeth sounds hardcore. And I went home and I ripped it on my computer, and I listened to that album on repeat forever. And there's a lot of really good songs in there. The, like, what the fuck is it called? Sweating Bullets. That's the song where he's like, hello, hello me, it's me again, my black tooth grin, stuff like that. And
Hey God, it's me. It's you.
like, Dimebag Darrell actually, his favorite drink was called a black tooth grin. He named it after the Megadeth phrase in Sweating Bullets where it says black tooth grin. All it was a shitload of Crown Royal with enough Coca-Cola to turn it black. That's all it was.
Oh, Dimebag.
He was like, all right, I'm going to just pour this fucking Crown and...
Well, speaking of drinks, I want to go ahead and shout this one out too. This is also another band collaboration beer. Not certain how well you guys can see it. I apologize. It's back over here. Here, let me get up just for the camera here so you can see. Thank you for the theme music there.
We wear some goddamn real pants on the podcast.
Dude, look, man, it's fucking Sunday, all right? You said it right. It was a long day. We were up drinking till God knows how long, and I wanted to be comfy, so I put on my PJs.
Okay.
Fuck you, Ken.
Fair enough.
But this is Unibrew. I don't know exactly how to say it. This is a French brewery company, and they did a collaboration with Megadeth.
They've done multiple Megadeth beers.
I didn't know that. I always grab their variety pack. They've got some heavy hitters in that fucking 12-pack, man. Like 8.3, 8.7, 9.2.
This one's only 6.1. This one's what, like
6.5, something like that?
Something like that.
I forget. But still, I don't know. In my opinion, that wasn't a bad Pilsner. And I'm not a huge Pilsner fan. To be honest, I fucking hate Pilsners.
Honestly,
I really do. I could drink that.
I'm just going to be honest. The only really good band beer I've ever had was the Flaming Lips with dragons and yum yums.
That Def Leppard one I had earlier was not bad.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it's weird though because I don't really like sours, I don't really like IPAs, but Dragon Yum Yums, they check every box I don't like, but I love that beer.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's sour and it's it's hoppy. I'm like, ew.
It's a sour hoppy beer. Ew.
And then I drink it, I'm like, wow, that's actually really fucking good.
Ew. It's good. But this is a Saison. And I don't know. Shout out to Todd Darling because he said he'd like to try it. It's a Saison 13. Pale amber color, red orange hues. Brewed with 13 carefully selected ingredients, so that's why we got that there.
Okay, that sounds like fucking Colonel Sanders when he's like, it's 11 herbs and spices. I don't know.
11 secret herbs and
you
spices.
got fucking onion powder there somewhere? Like, ooh.
It's decent.
Uh,
Not
Megadeth.
not very heavy.
The thing with Megadeth
Just
too
like
is,
Megadeth.
well, we're continuing on with Megadeth. Um, they they kind of hit like a rough patch in like the mid '90s, where or the mid '90s, early 2000s, where they were really like not putting out good stuff. But then more recently, like their last like 3 albums have been just amazing.
Yeah. And you also got to think too.
I would say that their last 3 albums are better than Metallica's last 3 albums. So Dave Mustaine's finally like, finally, after all these years,
I'm
you'll
finally
let
passing
me
you
be,
up, motherfuckers.
you'll let me back in the band.
Hey, I just made 3 albums that beat your guys's. You think I could play guitar for
I
you
mean,
again?
not in the charts, but critically for sure. Like,
I don't know. I just think that's funny as fuck. But I was gonna say you gotta think. Maybe it's just personally speaking, it's Lars's fucking. I don't know. Like you know how the whole Napster thing happened. Lars Ulrich was like one of the biggest prudes about that, which I understand now. At the time, I didn't. But all of that money that they were making from people purchasing albums is now gone. You know, there was a thing that had happened. I forget what artist it was, but he was talking in front of a judge, and he said, you know, for I think it was 50,000 plays on my song, I got $500 and some dollars. You know, and that's bullshit. You know, that sucks because you gotta making an LP is not cheap. You know, talk to Bubby about that. That's why they just keep doing EPs because the money issues.
yeah,
Real big deal, man. There's a lot that goes into music, and I get the whole pirating and ripping shit off, but how fucking cool is it to download a whole album? You know what I mean? Like, but
I mean,
you had sorry to cut you off. The point I was trying to make. Megadeth kind of got themselves out there with not Rock Band, Guitar Hero. Their Symphony of Destruction was one of the playable songs.
Hangar 18 was.
Was it?
Hangar 18 was one.
Well, Symphony of Destruction was on the first one.
That
I didn't
one
know
was-
that Hangar 18 was.
Hangar 18 was on Guitar Hero too. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Well, then Symphony of Destruction was on the first one, like I'd said.
It might have been.
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
remember.
I remember playing it. That was the first time I heard that song. Dun, 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 dun. But you didn't see any Metallica on there. And they were fucking known gods, you know what I mean? Why were they not
Metallica
there?
didn't come around to Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah,
And then they
were
had a
like,
whole Guitar Hero. There was
yeah,
literally a Guitar Hero Metallica.
yeah, touche. But I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to hop on that train at first, you know. And
Well, no
Dave's
bands really,
like, "Fuck it, dude."
no bands really did, because if you play the first Guitar Hero, it's like, hey, here's this song, as made famous by, and it's basically just a cover.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right because I remember the
It
Lamb of
wasn't-
God version was not Lamb of God playing it.
Yeah, it wasn't until later they were like, okay, so now we got the real bands. It wasn't, because Laid to Rest was on the first one, but it was as made famous by Lamb of God.
I wonder how much money they ended up paying out for that shit.
I don't know. One
Maybe they took that hit as a risk. You know what I mean? Like, hey guys, look, we got this idea. No band was with it, and then they did it, and it was fucking huge. And they're like, yeah, I mean, you can use my songs, man.
There's one other band I do want to mention whenever we talk about 80s metal, because they're fucking huge, but I don't feel like a lot of people talk about them when they talk about 80s metal, because they're really not like the rest, and that would be like Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not necessarily a metal band. I would see them as like a hard rock band, but they were kind of the first one that you could kind of be, if someone was like, Guns N' Roses is a metal band, I'd be like, I don't agree with you, but I don't disagree with you.
Let's say here's a road, okay?
Here's Disturbed.
Right here's
They're
a
not
road,
metal band.
okay? And there's a big cliff to get off that just falls down to nothing. You know what I mean? And over here is the land of metal. And you need to get there, but you don't know how. Well, then you look down over here, and you see this little bridge. And it's just Axl Rose standing there waving like fucking Forrest Gump. Like, hey, guys, we built this bridge to Metalland. Come check us out.
Yeah.
You know, they were really, I agree with you there. They were a definite stepping stone to get to that heavier shit. Even with their vocals, they were cool. And that was one thing I wanted to touch on with the Big Four. You didn't notice that metal growl yet. It kind of happened, and I don't know. Slayer was a little heavy. Hetfield's vocals were
Yeah.
yeah. But like
My lifestyle determines my death style. My lifestyle determines my death style.
and then you got fucking Tom.
I will never stop ripping on Metallica for that, by the way. That was
You can't. Please don't. You got shit like Red Blood from a lacerated sky.
Have you ever seen the music video for that Metallica song?
No. Oh, yeah, that's what I said. Why the fuck are you guys playing in a prison?
No, that was Saint Anger.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The other.
What was that one? That was, I can't remember the name of the song. Frantic?
Frantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, there's like a fucking chicken truck and some shit. It's just like, and there's like playing in the middle of the street and like, we're so hardcore.
Yeah.
It was at a time where Metallica was like, okay, we're just going to play our instruments and we're just going to be somewhere else. Like Frantic, we're going to be in the middle of the street. We're going to be in a prison. And then remember that song we did for the Mission Impossible soundtrack? We're just going to be on the middle of a fucking, cliff somewhere in the fucking desert. You ever been to the desert, bra, man? Because they're about to fucking play there.
Inside jokes are funny. But, okay, so we touched on the Big Four. Just so everybody knows.
Guns N' Roses.
We are trying to keep this in an orderly fashion here. But when you talk about a band like that, you have to actually understand where they are now, So we're trying to go back now, and we're going to jump back to 85-ish, 87, and see where these bands led into the 90s. So you had these Big Four bands that came out that were fucking huge, heavy hitters and gave influence to some of the heavier bands that we see nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
Whether, they listen to them or not, you can definitely tell, hey, man, that's very similar. Now, one band, I think you'd agree with me here, what is it? I forget the year, 87, maybe 93, but Meshuggah?
Meshuggah came out in 87.
87, yeah, okay.
Right.
I knew it was one or the other. But you want to talk about a band that gets ripped off and gets that started a fucking revolution.
They basically invented Gent.
Yes.
Gent, and that was the thing that a lot of people are like, Periphery did this. I'm like, Meshuggah
No.
did this 20 years before Periphery even came out.
Yeah,
like,
dude. I don't even think Misha was born yet, Jesus Christ. But I don't know how old he is. But they were and still are fantastically fucking heavy. They were so different in comparison to anything that had came out, and knowing that they came out so early is what blows my mind. I do honestly feel like they were way ahead of their time.
Yeah.
And they didn't get huge.
They felt way ahead of their time in 97.
Yeah.
And they'd already been out for 10 years. Like, when you hear, like, New Millennium... Well, I already mentioned New Millennium Cyanide Christ, but, like, when you hear that song in, like, 97, you're like, what the fuck is this? I mean, they haven't even been, like, universally acclaimed until when they came out with Odin. That was, like, what, 2000...
3, something like that.
It was later than that.
Really?
I want to say it was, like, 2013.
Oh, jeez, yeah, I'm way
So
off.
I'm just saying that was only like a few. That wasn't even 10 years ago. Then that's whenever people were like, "This band's fucking great." I'm like, they have been. They've
Yeah.
just always been pushed aside,
Because nobody, it was too fucking heavy. And this is a band, in my personal opinion,
It's
you asked,
so heavy and it's so sludgy.
where the fuck did it come from? Okay, because you have this thrash speed metal explosion going on at the beginning of the 80s, and they're like, what if we just like down-tuned every guitar to drop F and fucking played slow and fast at the same time? It's like, I don't know, Gent was created by Meshuggah back in 87 when they tried to do a solo twice at the same time. Something like that. It was fucking crazy, man. Go and listen to, anything by them. And it's heavy as fuck. And this is where you started to see these metal vocals come in, where it was a constant growling, almost scream, What I wanted to touch
He
on
never really
beforehand.
screamed. He just growled.
Yeah, it wasn't that metal. Yeah, he just... I don't know even how to explain it. Yeah, it's like a metal growl.
I'm like,
You
are
know?
you singing or you're like growling at
Are
me?
you coughing? Are
Yeah.
you okay?
Do you need a lozenge? Like, are we good? Like, what?
That
Do you have
reminds me
like
of
an
a
upper
commercial.
respiratory infection? Like, are you good?
Yeah, and maybe that's what threw a lot of people off about it because in '87, I mean, you had fucking hair metal bands, fucking Kiss, Metallica, and shit like that going on, and then you have Meshuggah.
Pantera's metal magic.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. Pantera had a lot of those metal vocals too. I believe we talked about it right beforehand. The
We
first,
haven't we haven't quite touched on. We're not to Pantera quite yet.
yeah, yeah. I think like the first recorded, from what I read, was the band Death, and they were the first ones that had that actual metal scream, like those shrills,
I
those
always
highs,
forget.
and
See, that's the thing too. Is like every time I have listened to that before, but I always forget they were as early as they were.
yeah, yeah, '85, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, this is like 1990. I'm like, oh no, this is like 5 years earlier.
Yeah, man, they're I don't know. They're another band that came out and I feel like took a lot of influence from like the Aussie side of things, you know. And now here we are, you know, in the '80s, and Ozzy had already left Sabbath, right?
hmm
And he started doing his own solo shit, and he picked up,
I'm Ozzy Osbourne. Watch me collect one of the greatest fucking collections of guitar players ever.
yeah,
Give me Tony Iommi. Give me Randy Rhoads. I'll take Zach Wilde.
yeah, and I don't know, like a fucking child or dad, you know, he raised these children, and then they went on to make their own fucking bands, and they were fucking phenomenal.
Black Label Society, not so much.
What? Come on, man. Have you ever seen somebody play a solo behind their head while sitting on the ground? It's insane. Insane.
I'm just not a big Zach Wilde fan.
We got David Busco outside right now giving us the business.
I'm glad he took up smoking.
Yeah, I'm so glad he took up smoking. What an asshole.
Um, and then the other one too. The other another band from, I shouldn't say the other one, but another band from the '80s that I think has had a lot of influence, but it's one of those bands you hear. Okay, I don't know how to put this. I don't know how to put this properly. It's a band that if you're like, hey, who are your influences? They'll be like, this band. Nobody really listens to them that much. But then you ask like 100 bands, they're like, yeah, it was Faith No More.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands that are like, yeah, we really are influenced by Faith No More. And then you go out there and you try and find people who listen to Faith No More. And you can. I do. I mean, I
Yeah.
listen to Faith No More. I know a certain...
I listen to Faith No More on Grand Theft Auto. You know, it's on the radio.
Yeah,
there.
I know a certain bunny that listens to Faith No More.
Yeah, certain bunny.
But,
Certain some bunny.
yeah.
He asked me if my wife vaped. I said, no, why? He goes, well, if she did, her favorite flavor would be Cinnabunny. I said, fuck you, Greg.
There are certain... It's one of those things, it's like, hey, every band was influenced by Faith No More, but not that many people actually listen to Faith No More.
Just one of them things, dude.
Because I remember... what really got me into Faith No More was I had to drive from Pennsylvania to Mississippi in 2 days. Like, I had to drive there and come... It was July 2nd, and they're like, you need to be down there by the 3rd. It was a work thing. They just put me in a Toyota Sequoia and were like, go.
Here you go.
And I had Sirius XM, and Faith No More had just dropped Soul Invictus, which was their last album. And they were playing a few songs from that, but then they also had, I was switching between Liquid Metal and Octane, and I switched over to Octane, and it was like a Korn takeover, and Korn was talking about how Faith No More was, instrumentally was so good, and that they used to put on the song Be Aggressive, which the bass kicks on that song so fucking hard. And he was like, that's what really influenced me to play the bass, was like hearing that song, just hearing how he just fucking slapped that thing like crazy. And then I heard that song, I'm like, wow, that's so good. And then strangely, I come home, I go to the local record store, and I find Angel Dust by Faith No More for $3.99 in the buy one get one free fucking tub. And I'm like, all right, I'm buying this, and I probably rocked that for 2 weeks.
That's what's up.
But yeah, they're one of those '80s bands. One of those, I shouldn't say '80s bands, but one of those bands that started in the '80s, built their shit through the '90s, and just went forward.
Yeah, and I could put them on that same bridge of, hard rock to metal.
Yeah.
It's a very good introduction. You could listen to them and then go on to find something different that was a little bit
Axl
heavier.
Rose is waiting on the bridge, and as you start walking across the bridge, you hear epic.
Yeah. That's I have to agree, man. That's sweet. They were influential to a lot of bands that started early 90s too, and took the genre a little bit different on their own. And oh, you missed it. There's a full moon outside. It's crazy. But anyways,
Is he gonna come on to our show now, or is he just?
I don't know. I think he's just smoking a
Because
cigarette.
I hope he
being
goes.
a dyke.
I hope he goes and fucks himself. That's what I hope happens.
Yeah, he probably will. I mean, because that's the only choice he has.
No on-air comments from me.
Yeah. So, going from, are we going to go into
Well,
the early 90s here? Because the late 80s was a big thing for, like, the new genres of metal that kind of came out. So after that thrash influence, you got Death, who came out, who initially technically started the genre of death metal,
I mean, even technically, Meshuggah is an extreme metal band.
Yeah, I don't even know what you'd want to call them back then.
They were extreme. It was basically all these bands from like Norway and Sweden and shit. They were like, those are extreme metal. I'm like, why? Because they paint their fucking faces black and white and sing about the devil?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe that's why. That's pretty extreme for a lot of people.
That is pretty extreme. Why? Because they fucking eat a baby on stage? Big fucking deal.
Hey, could you turn your death metal down? It sounds like you're trying to sacrifice a goat in there. Yeah, well, you're missing the point. I've got it up so loud so you can't hear the goat screaming. Fucking idiot. But when did that come about? The whole news thing going about, and now all of a sudden, metal is satanic, and they're trying to get everybody out of it.
I think it was some kid like killed himself, and like the parents blamed because he listened to Slayer. They're like, oh yeah, if you listen to Slayer, like there's subliminal messaging where they're telling you to kill yourself. I'm like,
do it for Satan. Do it for Satan.
If somebody's paying for your music, why are you telling them to kill themselves? Because you ain't going to make no money anymore.
Yeah. Fuck, Eminem said it best. He's like, I just said it. I didn't know if you do it or not. I mean, Slayer really didn't say it, but, they had an attack on metal. And maybe it was kind of the mainstream vibe, like they were pulling away from all the pop and shit. You've seen a lot of people listen to this shit.
It was like I said earlier, it was like, kids were attracted to metal because they're like, my parents won't like this. That's the devil. And then parents, like, there was like the strike back where they're like, my kid shouldn't be listening to this.
Oh my God.
Look at that devil.
Billy, no.
Yeah.
Don't look at those guys. Oh my God.
But there was a big backlash. But then in the 90s is whenever it really started to become accepted. And
yeah, I feel like that whole, hey, don't listen to metal because it's satanic, brought it back like a bounce back to metal. More people wanted to make metal music because it was unattainable.
But that's when bands changed their sound too. Like Metallica slowed down, Slayer slowed down, but then we talked. Let's get into Pantera. They brought it right back. Like their album's called Cowboys from Hell, but there's really nothing satanic about the album. No. They're just like,
they were. Yeah. You ever seen the YouTube video of Phil Anselmo teaching some kid how to metal scream?
Yes.
He's like smoking a cigarette. He's like, all right, you just want to get real with it. You know what I mean? You just get, it's like, wow, dude. Come on, pussy. Just fucking yell. They came out. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, they came out with a fucking force that was to be reckoned with.
Once they had Phil Anselmo, yeah.
Yeah, they came out with a kicking power of assness. They were like, bam! Yo, what's up, motherfuckers? You gonna walk? Like...
And walk is one of, like, the biggest metal themes of all time. And it's so simple.
And it's so stupid. I love Walk, but there are so many better Pantera songs. My favorite, personally, is Unbroken. It just... I don't know. Pantera took metal.
I will play that sometimes. I'm like, hold on, I'm gonna walk into a room and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play Unbroken. So it's like,
what's up, bitches?
Yeah. Actually, Hoover for his wedding, they did the whole bridal party, and then I didn't know this, but him and Amanda came out to Cowboys from Hell.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
So, but unfortunately, they didn't do like the whole build up. They didn't do the whole build up to it. So it was like, they didn't do that part. They said,
Oh.
and they came out, and I was like, wow, that was really good.
Yeah, that's sweet. They okay, like if you want to classify them as a sound, I mean they were definitely heavy metal, but Pantera took that same vibe from Black Sabbath in my personal opinion, and they took that southern twang
That's what
and
it was, though.
fucking threw it
they
in
were
the
they,
blender, dude.
That is Southern metal right there.
Yes. That's
The
a
Great
lot.
Southern Trendkill is my favorite Pantera song.
Really?
Yeah.
I was actually talking to my buddy Adam Tarr. It was his birthday. I told you I bought him the Pantera box set.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he said. A Vulgar Display of Power is his favorite album, but he said The Great Southern Trendkill is a close second for the whole album. And I would
The
say,
whole album?
Yeah.
I would take The Great Southern Trendkill over it.
Really? Over
Yeah.
Vulgar Display?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, this. I just think the song "The Great Southern Trendkill" is so good because it hits you like really hard, and then the end, they just like, all right, here's like a 3-minute solo, and it just has that real Southern sound to it.
Yeah. Such twang, dude. Such twang. They took blues.
Have
and
you ever
metal
heard
and...
that? I'm sure you've heard the song, but
Yeah.
have you heard it recently?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Whenever I mean like the ending solo, where he's like, all right, let's just hit that Southern part.
No, I'm going to have to go back and redo it.
We have some listening to do when we're done.
Oh, yeah,
here.
we do. I mean, this is... Okay, what I pictured when we talked before, okay, I want everybody to understand. I don't want to be biased when I say, metal is my favorite. I love all music, but metal, these are bands that literally...
There's such variation in it.
They brought about genres of music that never existed before because they played a song. You know what I mean? Some guy was listening to fucking The Great Southern Trendkill and was like, dude, I want to start a Southern metal band. You know what I mean? And now there's a whole fucking slew of them, and it's insane.
I'm personally probably like pop more because it makes me feel more of the feels, but I listen to metal more because I like the way it sounds.
You got fucking bands like Monster Truck, Maylene and the Sons of Disaster, like even going into bands like The Sword. Whether it's
We're not
a
to
different
the Sword yet.
It's a different genre, but you can see all these slews of bands coming from Pantera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Signs of the Southern Cross. Even the way that band sounds singing is... I had to look it up because I thought it was Phil Anselmo singing. I was like, no way. Did he start a band I didn't know about?
He only has like, 3 bands right now? 2
Yeah.
bands?
Is Down still a thing?
I think Down's still a thing, and then what's the other?
Hell yeah. Or
No.
Chickenfoot?
No, Super Joint Ritual.
Oh. I've heard that name. I don't think I've ever
That's
even
his other
heard
band.
anything. But, okay, 80 what? Fucking 9?
For what?
Or, well, 90, what'd you say? 93 was when they first came out.
No, Cowboys from Hell came out in 90.
91?
It was either 90 or 91. I'm not 100% sure right now. But
So
it was
we've
definitely...
moved on a whole decade, 2 whole decades from when we first started talking about metal, So we're 20 years into this molding right now, and you can see where
it's going. But
it's nuts.
The other big band I think that came out around the same time was Sepultura. Sepultura. Whatever. They're Brazilian. I don't know.
Yeah. Sepultura. They were... I got to see them play at Ohio Metal Fest in 2015.
That's pretty sick.
I was like... They were like a rootsy kind of tribal metal band.
Roots didn't come out until 96.
I'm not even saying that like as of the song. I'm just saying
no,
like rootsy as in like...
Oh, yeah, no. The
album, origin, you can tell where they fucking came from.
Yeah, the album came out. Roots is like one of those big albums, too, that people are like, well, that's a great fucking metal album. And the first time I heard that, I was like, okay, I listened to it, and the last, like, 20 minutes are just, like, jungle noises.
Yeah.
But it's fucking awesome. Chaos AD came out in 90... Was it 91 or 93? It was sometime between 90 and 93. Chaos AD came out, and that was just one that changed it too, because that title, the first track, Refuse Resist, it's just like it hits you in the face, and that's what I think separated like the 80s metal from the 90s metal. The 80s metal kind of like had this slow, I wouldn't say it was slow build, but like it was just like, okay, right here, like this is what you're getting the whole song. Whereas the '90s metal just punched you in the face.
They just came right out with it.
It was like, this is it.
Yeah.
Eat it.
Here you go, boys. And Sepultura coming from southern Brazil, like, it's sweet to see a band like that who has such a name on the map that came from some fucking area that you have not seen metal come from yet. You know what I mean?
I really think if it wouldn't have been for them, you would never have like El Nino.
Yeah. They're not bands that people are gonna go search out. You know, but you couldn't go see Sepultura like Rise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're fucking growing up in America, like, hey, mom, can I catch a plane down to southern Brazil to go see this?
I need to go to Sao Paulo right now.
Yeah, for what? Like you know, and that's sweet that Rise came about, and somebody who was down there traveling heard them and was like, "Yo, this is it. Let's check it out." It's too cool.
Yeah.
Other bands that I can think of, early '90s wise, you got Cradle of Filth.
Yeah, they came out in '91.
And this was, they took that glam metal kind of shit from like Kiss and I don't know. They painted their faces and they came out and they were heavy as fuck. They all wore leather and spikes, and their faces were painted white and with like black stripes down the sides of them and shit, and they were heavy as hell. And Danny Filth came out with these lyrics, and the sound of his lyrics when he enunciated them, and it was something unheard of. It brought back that satanic vibe, if you will, because the lows that this guy could hit sounded like the devil himself talking. When you're listening to this for the first time, you know what I mean? Say you've never heard this before, and he's like, you're like, what the fuck was that? And then he goes immediately into this high-pitched fucking scream, and this guy's like 5'4", you know what I mean? And it's insane to see somebody like that play something like that. I'm just, mind blown. And I don't know, media picked up on them. They played like Nymphetamine that came out in, I forget what movie it was. They have so many songs, like whether some of them just be about drinking. Like Danny was a big Absinthe fan, and he has like a song called Absinthe with Faust.
Mansith. Marilyn Manson has his own Absinthe.
Mansith.
It's,
I didn't know that.
ask TD about it.
I will. But that was something.
Literally text him when this podcast is done. Like, what do you know about this Mansith?
Yeah, I should. But that's something like you'd never heard of before. It was the start of something again, and I don't know. I remember I didn't realize that they'd came out so early, and I think I was 14 or 15 when I'd first heard them, and I was like, dude, holy shit.
It's really a rival between like Cradle of Filth and like Opeth. Like,
I was gonna mention them next. Yes,
they were like the two that did it first, though.
They're the fucking Opeth wrote stories with guitars, man, and they were the first. What would you consider them melodic metal? Melodic heavy metal. Their shit was off the wall, man. Like,
it's really hard to say like, yeah, they did it first, because there's a lot of bands I'm like, they may have did it first, but this band did it better. Like with metalcore, I think that like Killswitch Engage, they're the earliest band that I think that did it good. But they weren't the first band to do it, but they were the first band to do it good.
Yeah. If you guys have not listened to Opeth, please go give them a shout out. Not a shout out, excuse me. Listen. Shout out to Opeth. But they have so many songs that really just inspired generations. There are bands that there's actually a meme. It's not even a meme. It's like a comic. It's Master Splinter walking with the 4 Ninja Turtles when they're babies.
Yeah, one's Gojira and one's...
Yeah. Well, it says Opeth over top of Master Splinter, and then they get older, and now they're carrying Master Splinter about, and it's like Gojira, fucking all these 3 other metal bands, and they're helping Opeth along because it's like, dude, thanks for helping raise me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Bands like that really really hit the fucking market, man. They hit the point for some people. Somebody listened to that and was like, dude, I'm gonna dedicate my life to this shit. That's, I don't know, man. I'm like grinning ear to ear. Like, that's the kind of shit. That's why I love music, man. It hits home for some people, and you can't change it. It's a feeling of awesomeness that just like comes from inside, and you need to get it out.
I mean, now that we're just gonna talk about it, completely away from Metal Month right now, because we're getting to the point where we're about to talk about new metal and the rise of Korn, Marilyn Manson, Linkin Park, Slipknot. Getting into the early 2000s, you have bands like Killswitch Engage, Machine Head starts to make a comeback from the. Well, we didn't talk about them early, but we'll get to them. So on and so forth. But that's why I think music is the best, because for every emotion you can find a song, and for every band you can find at least one song you like. No matter what, there's some type of music you like. People who are like, I don't listen to music, I'm like, yes, you fucking do. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, you're full of shit. You listen to music every day, whether it's birds fucking chirping outside or just like the slow, steady click of, the clock. Just, it's a metronome, man. That's some sort of beat. There's always music going on everywhere. The world moves because of it,
Right.
It's the vibration that keeps everything going. I don't know.
And music is the one thing too that it's made me cry, and it's given me goosebumps, and it's made me feel scared. It's
made me want to fight. Like, all kinds of shit,
it gives
man.
you every emotion you can possibly imagine. It's made me smile.
Yeah, it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Made me dance. Made me jump up and down. Like, I don't know, man.
What hasn't music made you do is a better question.
Yeah. And if you want to go ahead, somebody's going to shout out, oh, well, I bet music never made you had sex. Motherfucker, you ain't never listened to Barry White. Okay? Because there is love-making music, too. Don't matter what it is. And then, keeping on with the metal thing and the sex thing, we'll get into it, but out came fucking 9 Inch Nails and the whole industrial metal scene. And that's some kinky sex music.
I don't credit 9 Inch Nails as much as I think it was Fear Factory.
Fear Factory, yeah.
I think it was more Fear Factory, because 9 Inch Nails kind of...
They're on the list.
They're on the bridge with fucking Axl Rose.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor's over there was like, buy my grandfather's air conditioners.
Come to Mercer, PA.
Yeah, do you
It'll be a good time.
Axl Rose is like, come to the metal, and Trent Reznor's like, my grandfather makes great air conditioners.
Have you guys seen this? Let me play this entire band for you by myself. Here you go. I wonder if he talks like that.
I actually think it was John's dad, Big John, was saying that like Trent Reznor just used to, because he had his grandparents had all that money from the air conditioners, that he's just like go to his friend's house and bring it. He's like, yeah, I have this $4,000 keyboard. Let's fuck with it for the night. And they would like play it, and they was like, all right, I'm going home, and just leave it there.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That was like, but I don't know. I'd have to confirm those stories, but that was like back in the 80s before Head Like a Hole and shit came out. Which I've seen the music video, and it is as 90s as he thinks it would be.
Yeah. They were very 90s. 90s is a whole nother genre, too, now. It's lumped into itself.
No, because 90s metal really had a split, because then you had the traditional bands doing like one thing with Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, so on. Then you had the hardcore scene, then you had the industrial scene, you had the new metal scene. It was whenever everything started to splinter. It's when like, we want to be hardcore too. We want to be metal too, but we want to do it this way.
Yeah, we want to do it our own way. Maybe it's a stupid metaphor, but like I wrote some lyrics and it kind of reminds me of it.
I literally think next episode we're probably, if we start in 95, we're probably only get to like 2007, then we're gonna have to stop again.
Yeah, because we're gonna be at like 2 hours, man. But metal itself, picture like a mirror, and then like the 90s happened. And
I'm gonna have to take notes for the next one, because
somebody fucking slammed their fist into it and shattered it, and that's where each genre all branched off and made their own shit. But if you put all them back together into the same piece, it's like a puzzle, man. It's all one big picture.
And all you see is Ozzy just biting the head off of a bat.
Yeah, while yelling for his wife.
Sharon!
Sharon! What the fuck is that? And now you got Ozzy doing shit with Post Malone. The world is
Oh
awesome.
my God, Post Malone's gonna make him so famous.
I know. That, Ozzy Osbourne should probably hit him up. Tell him thank you. All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night. We've been talking for a good minute, man. But, dude, this is good conversation. I love metal. This is the start of something big, This time frame that we're talking right now, this is where you've seen all these big bands start popping out, man. And really, you got to think about what they did before they got heard. You know what I mean? These guys were playing shows for like 4 people in some fire hall or something.
They were playing like Susie Dog and Drafts and having fucking the safest sledge open up for them and shit like that.
Yeah. And then one day somebody heard them and they put them somewhere and they got big. And now look at them,
It's kind of like what they did with the Seattle scene, though, where they're like, wow, you're Metallica? We're going to put you on. Oh, wow, you guys got fucking huge. Hey, Megadeth, you're kind of like Metallica? Come here.
Yeah.
Because in Seattle, they were like, hey, Nirvana's huge. Hey, Pearl Jam, you're kind of like Nirvana? Come over.
Come on, baby. We going to make y'all famous. But we got to say thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Whether you listen in faithfully or you only pick out the certain episodes that you like, still makes us happy to have listeners. So
shout out to you, Jonathan Kent.
Thanks, John Emery, for not being on the episode tonight.
Yeah.
But, guys, please give us a like on Facebook.
I kind of like
YouTube.
having a 3-person booth, too.
Yeah, the third person really makes it exciting. But, we get famous. That's another person we got to split money with, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
Right?
Me, Cal, just come here for free.
No, man. No money. No money. I do this for the likes,
I
do it for the
swear
entertainment.
to God, I've said this 100 times, but I will literally order T-shirts tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. Let's do it.
I will literally order T-shirts as soon as this goes off the air.
All right. Vicky, you got a big order coming. I hope you're ready. But guys, that's it for installment number 2 of Metal Month. Coming up next, we got the industrial.
Mid-90s to mid-2000s, and then we're going to have to take off. Oh, God, it's going to be so hard.
Industrial, new metal, start of metalcore, a whole
Post-hardcore.
Post-hardcore.
Hardcore.
There's a whole bunch of shit coming this way, man.
What the fuck is Alexis on Fire?
They're post-hardcore. Or they were when they came out, not now.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are now. Piano rock. All right, guys. Any parting words?
Respect. Walk. What do you say?
It's breathe, spit, walk.
I don't know. I'm retarded, so it doesn't
Yeah, it's
matter.
all right. It's okay. I didn't mean to shut you down like that on air.
It's okay.
All right, guys. Hail Satan.
Yeah, how's Satan?